This is the Codogrammer with developer news. I'm Saeed, and these are our top headlines today.
Java 18 release date fast approaching. AWS announces AWS SDK for Kotlin with coroutine support. SpringBoot 3.0.0 M1 now available. AWS launches private 5G. Google announces more support for startups. Azure launches integrated support for observability of SpringBoot apps. JetBrains introduces Fleet, a lightweight Polyglot IDE. Python 3.10.0 released. Git 2.3.5 now available. Java gets a big push in VS Code in 2022. A library deliberately corrupted by the author now launches as a community effort. And Meta, formerly known as Facebook, launches RSC or AI Research Supercluster. And we'll take a look at events happening near you.
All right, before we get into the details, this is my best impression of an actual news reporter. Let me know in the comments below what you think. It's been a while since I've worn a blazer. Everyone's working from home. We've been piling on the pounds, at least I have, and so it can barely fit now. But anyway, let's get back to the news.
Okay, first up, the Java 18 release date is fast approaching. Java 18 is due in March 22nd to be precise. But Java 17 LTS is already out, and that is really the big news because it's LTS, long-term support. So many other tools, systems, and frameworks will base their work on Java 17 going forward because of the long-term support. Java 18, on the other hand, will be non-LTS, so short-term support, just part of the 6-month release cadence. What will it include? Well, it'll include things like a simple web server, which is to serve up static content, only really meant to be used for things like testing and education, and not a production server. There'll be a second preview of pattern matching, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff that it's worth checking out. AWS have announced the AWS SDK for Kotlin with coroutines support. Now, Kotlin is an extremely popular language. It's a JVM-based language from JetBrains, and it's really making a big impact. Now, there's lots of useful information on the AWS site to help you get started and have a play, but remember it's in developer preview. But if you love Kotlin and you love AWS, then this is going to be really exciting and worth checking out. SpringBoot 3.0.0 M1 is now available. What does the M1 mean? The M1 means milestone 1, okay? And in a Spring milestone, it really means that it's for developer testing. This is not something to be used in production just yet, but it is significant. When development gets up to a certain milestone, then they release this and make it available. So what's included in 3.0.0 M1? Well, the base moves from Java 8 to Java 17. Currently, Spring Boot applications that you work on are based off of Java 8. Now they'll be based off Java 17. And remember, Java 17 is an LTS release. So if you're going to build a base on anything, you would want it to be an LTS release. Oracle designate a release on a 3-year cycle to be LTS, and the ones in between are non-LTS. So just be aware, this is worth keeping an eye on and having a play with, but it's not for production use. They've migrated Java EE to Jakarta EE, and not all libraries have caught up yet. You can take a look for more information on the website, but the current version is 2.6.3, which was released on 20th of January. It's definitely worth keeping an eye on because that's what's coming up in Spring Boot in the not too distant future. AWS have launched a private 5G service for corporations. This means that you can have your own private 5G networks on site. There's a pretty nifty explainer video that tells you more about this. They will provide you with the hardware and the software for this, so it's pretty impressive stuff and worth checking out. Google announces more support for startups. There's mentoring support and some alignment of services, but fundamentally they have the Startups Cloud program, which is already in operation now. And in this program, it means that for the first year of Google Cloud usage for investor-backed startups through Series A rounds of up to $100,000 of usage. Now, 1 year is not long for software development, but in year 2, they'll still cover 20% up to $100K. I think it's a really good offer, and we know how much cloud costs can rack up. But personally, I think it would have been nice for it to gradually tail off, like year 1, 100% of costs are covered, year 2, 50%, year 3, 25%, something like that. So it's not ideal, but it's definitely not a bad deal. Microsoft Azure launches integrated support for observability of SpringBoot apps. Now, these guys are really doubling down on supporting the Java ecosystem. So they announced the elastic integrations for SpringBoot for things like application performance monitoring or APM. So why does this matter? Well, you can do it manually with Prometheus, Grafana, and various other things. You could ship logs to Elastic. Many organizations do. But here the difference is that it's native and built in. You can even see that they have anomaly detection with machine learning, which I think really is a killer feature. You can have all the metrics in the world, but if you don't know how to interpret them, it's not going to make much difference. With a tool like this, in theory, you can have the analysis in front of you before you actually get to your laptop in the case of an incident. I think this is a pretty significant thing for Azure to launch. SpringBoot is ridiculously popular in the Java world, and this will certainly make a difference. JetBrains Plugin Developers Appreciation Day is not far off. Now remember, you can write plugins for popular IDEs from JetBrains like IntelliJ, and you can even get paid for it. You can sell them on their plugin marketplace, or you can give them away for free. I'm slightly tempted to write one myself, but I'm not sure what it would do. Anyway, they have an appreciation day to appreciate all these fabulous plugin developers. They'll be waiving their usual 15% fee for paid commissions. So if you're a plugin developer, it's definitely worth checking out. Even if you support that community and you contribute to free plugins, I think there's lots of things going on for you too. JetBrains announces Fleet, a hotly anticipated lightweight Polyglot IDE. Now just keep in mind that this is currently in closed preview. That means you can't get your hands on it just now. I think this is a pretty big deal since IntelliJ is mainly geared towards Java. I know you can do other things with plugins, but that's its main target audience. And with modern software projects being so polyglot, having an IDE that can do it all, even to a lighter extent than a specific IDE, which I think is a pretty good thing. Anyway, there's a really good YouTuber who has a nice video looking into it, so definitely worth checking that out. But you can subscribe for updates, so definitely worth doing. Python 3.10.0 has been released. Now this is a major release and there's a bunch of interesting features which you can see in this list here. I actually think one of the most useful ones is precise line numbers for debugging and other tools to give you much better error messages. So you can get straight to the problem and help you debugging it. But there's a bunch of other interesting stuff, especially around pattern matching. Definitely worth checking out. If you're a Python developer, let me know in the comments below what you think of these recent updates. Git 2.3.5 has been released. There is a new option for stashing, -- staged, which allows you to stash only those things added to the index. There's a new Git log format option. There's a new way to present Git merge conflicts. There are some performance enhancements too, and a ton of other bits and bobs that you can check out in this blog post, or there's others too. Now, Java is getting a big push in VS Code in 2022. There are big plans to improve support for Java. You can find the roadmap here. You can see some of the highlights here include better code completion, performance and reliability, etc., etc. So that's good news if you like using VS Code and you're a Java developer. Ruby 3.1 has been released. There are performance enhancements. There's a new JIT compiler, a new debugger, better error messages, and a bunch of other bits and bobs. I always like to see better error messages, so that should be cool. If you're a Ruby user, let me know what you think of these updates in the comments below. Now, one of the strangest stories is a library deliberately corrupted by the author now launches as a community effort. So this story is very strange. A developer responsible for the colors and faker libraries caused complete chaos when he deliberately introduced bugs into those libraries. It seemed that he was annoyed about companies using his work for free and not paying him. Anyway, Faker has relaunched as a community project. Marek Squires deliberately sabotaged those libraries. Not sure if the colors library has also been relaunched or just Faker, but at the moment I've only found information that says Faker has been relaunched. There's an excellent video by Dave Farley of Continuous Delivery on his YouTube channel, which if you're interested in this story, I definitely recommend checking that out. And if you don't follow his channel, I definitely recommend following it. He makes some very useful software related content. Okay, and finally, last but not least, Meta, formerly known as Facebook, launches RSC, or the AI Research Supercluster Computer. Now, this is amongst the fastest supercomputers around today. It will be the fastest by mid-2022, and at least that's according to Meta. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, definitely check it out at the link below. Okay, so let's take a quick look at upcoming events. We've got JFocus on the 2nd to the 4th of May 2022 in Stockholm. We've got DevOps UK on the 11th to the 13th of May 2022 in London. We've got QCon London 4th to the 6th of April 2022 in London also. We've got the State of Java 2022 on 10th of February, and that's online, so you've got no excuse not to attend. And that pretty much sums up the events. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to any of these events, or if I've missed any events and you want to give them a shout out. And that pretty much wraps up the news for today. Okay, so there's a lot happening in the software development world. If you don't want to be the last to know, make sure you subscribe to hear all the latest news and announcements. If I missed anything, drop a comment in the comment section below, please, to let other people know. I'm Saeed, the Codogrammer, and this is Developer News.